Hello there, guys, and welcome back to my channel for what was meant to be a Premier League preview ahead of Chelsea against Brighton. But a lot of things have happened since last night. Obviously, we were here last night, pretty much 24 hours ago, trying to take a day after what we really learned about Chelsea against Man City. But in the half an hour before that stream last night, the news, started to break a little bit. We were joined by Dammy, then we were joined by Jester, and even our good friend Lewis joined us, who of course is here again, as you can see. But as everyone will know, I don't think it's possible to live under a rock big enough to not have heard what's been going on over the last roughly 24 hours. The European Super League has been announced by 12 official founding clubs, and we're going to discuss all of that. We're going to discuss the ramifications of it. We're going to discuss how bad it is. We're going to discuss how much worse it is than what we already had, because that's the kind of point that I'm going to lean upon. And the biggest point I want to lean upon is, let's not make the UEFA the good guys now. Like, they do not deserve being the good guys. Let's focus on that, please. Anyway, we have a lot to discuss. We already have a fair few people in, so I appreciate every single one of you that has tuned in so far. We're joined by three very, very special guests. Like I said yesterday, or like I said earlier already joined us yesterday. But obviously, we've learned a lot of new things since then. Mr. Carefree Lewis G, bro, how you been over the last 24 hours since I last spoke to you? And what we feeling?
Barely slaps. Just been constantly refreshing and checking the new news and everything that's following. We're still going to see a lot more come out in the coming days as well. But yeah, it's been a mad weekend. Like, you wouldn't even remember that we've just made it through to the FA Cup final. No one's even been speaking about it.
That is true. That is very, very true. And to have, I'm trying to get a few different perspectives on it. I think myself and Lewis are slightly more level on the situation, while both Ian and Pice, who I will introduce in just a second, are very much on the extreme side of this is the worst thing that's ever happened, basically. So to introduce you, before I let you go full belt, both have all the freedom other than crazy swearing, please. Ian, how are you and how are you feeling?
I hate it. I'm fine, but I hate it. I've spent all day doing, I think most people are doing, which is just watching Sky Sports News roll round and round and round. And we should be, certain people should be very, very happy that Jose's gone, because I know a lot of people hate him, and that should be the big talking point of today. And it still isn't. Do you know what I mean? It's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. But we'll come on to that in a moment, I'm sure.
We will. And like I just introduced already in a way, Mr. CFC Pice has also joined us, partner in crime for the Player Ratings live streams. Let's see if he's here tomorrow. We'll see. We'll see what he feels at the moment. But yeah, how have you taken in the news over the last 24 hours, mate?
I'm just absolutely fuming with it. Like, I can't believe this has happened. Like, I'll go on my rant in a minute, but because I have some things prepared to say, because I'm just trying to take in this absolute shitstorm. Like, this is just, I'm sorry, I can't see how anyone is like trying to make this like just, I don't know, man. I know some people will try and come to terms with it, but for me, man, like, I was watching streams all night, like, man, like Mark Goldbridge, Manchester United fan, was nearly in tears like last night. Like, this is how serious this is, because of the history of some of these clubs being destroyed. Literally just a kick in the teeth to every single fan that loves football. Like, he was nearly crying. He was debating whether he should bother, whether he should walk away from Man United. And I know it's not about Man United, but to be honest, it's about football. Like, it's about every club. Like, I just can't believe we joined this. It's a disgrace. But anyway, I'll go on my rant in a minute. But yeah, man, I'm annoyed.
It's definitely a tough situation. It's a tough situation for everybody. I will try my very best, because, like, I'm assuming all of you guys as well, I've read, honestly, I don't think there's been a day in my life where I've read as many news reports as I have today. So I'll try to explain everything as best I can in just a second. We have a super chat here by the legend himself, Father, Porto Ferrari, by the way. Good day yesterday. He said, heard Lewis had a fancy 5-star meeting with one of the players, not just one of the players, the best regista in the world. Only Carefree Lewis Gebrselassie, who came to the bridge, and then all of a sudden, one of the players, please. Yes, Carefree Lewis G ran into Jorginho today. I know you told us off air already, it wasn't as fancy as that might sound, but was it all right anyway, I suppose?
Yeah, guys, I just want to say it was literally just a photo, and that was it. Like all this thing about an interview, I never said there was an interview, so I'm just gonna throw it out there. But yeah, nice guy, really nice guy. But he was
To be
literally just there
fair,
to pick up his kid, and that was it.
look at the drip he had as well going.
Yeah, I can't lie, clothing style was pretty decent, but yeah, literally just saw him, got a photo, spotted him, telling me he's done well this season, and that was it.
To be fair, I'm surprised you haven't seen him before because he moves so fucking slowly. It'd be pretty obvious to spot.
Ah, he had a nice car, I can't lie, really nice.
Oh, sake, Ian. Now let's get into the main topic of today. Obviously, maybe for like a minute or two, we'll touch on Chelsea Brighton. We'll see how this discussion goes up until that point. Because does that game have any relevance anymore? That's what we're going to discuss basically. But yeah, so basically the European Super League, 12 clubs in the name of 6 from England: Chelsea, Arsenal, Tottenham. Very funny that. Manchester City, Manchester United, and Liverpool, and then 3 clubs from each Spain and Italy in Real Madrid, Barcelona, Atletico Madrid, Juventus, Inter Milan, and AC Milan. But no, for the time being at least, Bayern Munich, PSG, Dortmund, Leipzig. There was also rumors about Porto, although the latest 3 have all kind of denied those rumors, at least for the time being. They have officially announced last night, what time was it? Like 11 p.m. UK time by the end it was actually released. All clubs basically gave the same statement. This has all been created and, the formats and everything. And basically the idea is that there's going to be 15 founding members, so there's still 3 to go. Presumably Bayern Munich, PSG, and then one other, whoever they make join. Let's see who that is. And then 5 teams that can kind of via qualifications, similar to how the current Champions League system is. You do well in your domestic league, you get to the Champions League. The founding members do not want to not play in the domestic leagues. Of course, the UEFA and the domestic federations have thrown out threats of kicking teams out of their, domestic competitions, whether that's the Premier League, La Liga, Serie A, whatever else. There's also been threats by the FIFA and the UEFA that these players would not be allowed, that the players, contracted to these clubs would not be allowed to feature and compete at the Euros, at the World Cup, at any international tournaments of a similar level. Now, like I said, you then have 20 teams. They're playing a 2-10 team league system. Basically, the top 3 of each go through, and then the 4th and the 5th of both sides play a playoff against each other, and then you basically have round of 16, quarterfinal, semi-final, final. So basically, in terms of amount of games, it's the exact same as the Champions League, as the UEFA announced or proposed for the Champions League today. So it's not actually any different, right? Just to clarify that in terms of format of football. The next thing that I want to clarify drastically, again, the clubs do want to play in their domestic leagues. I know last night, and especially before the news was officially announced, and there was rumors flying about, especially people like Gary Neville and Rio Ferdinand, and a lot of people on TV, in particular for companies like BT and Sky, which I found very convenient. I'll talk about that in just a second. Had a massive rant about basically as if they want to relieve the Premier League and going to leave everything in tatters. Now, I will make this statement before I let even any of you guys say much. The one thing that would ruin English football is if they kick the top 6 clubs out of the league, because then there would be 0 money left in the league and then everyone would be screwed. If at least the 6 top clubs are left, yes, you can argue there's no fight for top 4, and that might make people less interested to some extent. Sure, I get that. But it's still better than none of the top 6 being here, because at least the stat I read is that 95% of the viewership from Premier League TV revenue comes from the top 6 clubs' fans, right? You do not kick out 95% of your viewership. That does not happen. Obviously, the UEFA still apparently stand by the fact that, we're going to be allowed to play in the Euros and World Cup and blah, blah, blah. We'll see about that. I doubt that one too. But I don't know if there's anything more to add. Is there anything more to add? Any of you guys, did I forget anything that's super important before we get into discussing the whole situation?
Nothing so far.
Exactly. Okay. The one, you know what? Let me start off with it with kind of starting this. The main point I want to make, I don't think the idea of a European Super League is good. I think there's a lot of things wrong with it. I will tell you which things I find the worst, right? But what I find the most ridiculous thing is that currently people are making the UEFA and the FIFA look like the good guys. And the UEFA bosses are coming out and talking about Agnelli, like the new vice president or whatever, and Juve president or whatever, and former UEFA, whatever role he was, as this crazy lie. And I'm like, as if the UEFA and FIFA haven't been lying for decades about why They've given tournaments to certain countries. We literally have a World Cup in Qatar where people are dying on a daily basis. And these people are telling us, oh, these bad clubs are lying. Are you taking the Michael? Are you taking the Michael? Like, you cannot throw rocks while you're sat in a glass house, mate. It's not how it works. You do not have the right to say things like that, Mr. UEFA boss. You absolutely do not have those rights. And then the same goes for the people at Sky and BT. Do not forget, it's not a long time ago that this pandemic that the world is currently in started, and they were charging fans £25 to watch individual Premier League games. And then you see people on there, whether it's Gary Neville, whether it's Michael Richards, saying, what about the fans? Yeah, exactly. What's about the fans? £25 per game. And you're telling me these people care about fans and only the clubs are bad? No. You're taking a piss. And even at the best of times, even when they got rid of this, it's what, £90 if you want both subscriptions for Champions League, Premier League, and whatever else? £90 a month. And you're asking, what about the fans? No, it's not what about the fans when you're charging that. You do not get to say that. And trust me, one thing, once BT and Sky, if they aren't outbid by DAZN, get the rights to broadcast the European Super League, not a single one of them will say a single bad word about it. But now that they're scared that it could lose them revenue because the Premier League could lose in interest, now that they're all kicking off about it. They will not be kicking off about it once they have rights to the European Super League. Let me just say those things first and foremost. And but that doesn't mean the European Super League is good. My biggest issue with it is, and I want to explain this kind of as one more caveat in terms of explaining what the European Super League is. Like I said, 15 founding members, a lot of money, $6 billion is basically what will be invested. That's roughly £4.6 billion on a yearly basis. That's roughly £350 million to every single of those 15 founding members. To some of them all in one, to some of them only 100 or 112 million, and then in installments or whatever. No one knows really what the details of who that is and why some clubs get more, whatever. But the 5 qualifying teams that can get in there do not even if they won the competition. It's not like the Champions League where you make the most money if you win the thing. You get money basically for being there. But that only goes for the founding members. The clubs that qualify, yes, they get some money and they get good money. I'm not sure whether it's more than they would for the current Champions League. I do think so. But it's not anywhere near as much as the founding clubs, right? And even if they'd win it, they'd make more than one of the founding members that lost in the group stages. And that's what I find utterly ridiculous. We'll get to the top 4 fight and you don't have to qualify. We'll get to that debate in a minute. But that, in my opinion, is the worst thing about the whole thing. How can you only make it 5 clubs that can qualify for the whole thing in the first place, which is very little, right? You could just make it a bigger competition, similar size to the Champions League, and that would allow still more teams to qualify. And you could still have your 15 founding members, which none of us like, but it would be easier to deal with if there would be more possibility for qualification from outside teams, right? But if you only make it 5, and those 5 teams cannot make anywhere near the same money as yourself, I find that a bit ridiculous. I find that personally.
How much less do they stand to make again?
Sorry?
How much less do they stand to make again?
Even if they win it, they make less than the other teams just for going to the group stages and then getting knocked out.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Because it's not on a basis of prize money. It's just to be there, you get the big money. It doesn't really matter how far you go. That's not the drastic. It's a bit like the Premier League. You get the big money. It's a bit like the Premier League. You get the big money for being in the Premier League, not for winning the Premier League. It doesn't make much of a difference. The difference between Premier League champion and getting relegated as 20th is significantly less than the 20th compared to the championship, right? So that's what I'm saying. And that's one of the other arguments. It's people make this, football was so great until yesterday. Was it? Was it? Was the Premier League fair before? Was there not the same, pretty much, obviously I wasn't alive, but was there not pretty much the same outrage when the Premier League separated from the EFL back in 1991 or 1992? Was there not the same outrage? What about when the Champions League got turned into the Champions League? So think back in the Europa League, you realize that the Europa League, only anyone cares about it since clubs like Chelsea and Arsenal are or Manchester United become teams that actually win this thing because in England there is more and more top clubs. That's the only reason anyone cares about the Europa League. What was it, 2009, 7, something like that? Atletico Madrid, who were a small club at the time, played Fulham in a final, and not a single soul gave a shit. Not a single soul gave a shit about the whole competition. No one does. Only because now these big clubs with these big fan bases are in the competition does this have any sort of relevance, right? And that's because of what happened in the Premier League. And what happened in the Premier League, more money came into it, which is the same thing the European Super League is doing. Hence why while I still disagree with the idea, I'm somewhat surprised at how strongly people like Pice and Ian feel against it, because I'm like, why are you feeling so strongly about this? But I didn't hear anyone talking about the problems with the Premier League or the Champions League last week. But the problem still existed. Maybe they were a little bit less extreme, but it's not like no problems were existed and life was perfect. That's all I'm going to say. Now I'm going to, I've been basically waffling myself for about 15 minutes. So I'll give you guys the floor. And you know what? I'll start with you, Ian. First of all, your reactions to everything that happened, and then maybe if I made a couple of points that you disagree with or whatever, or that you want to touch on, do that.
I hate it. I hate the whole idea of it. It makes absolutely no sense to me. And you'll notice very obviously I'm wearing my Dolphins top. This is a direct dig completely at the idea of the Super League. It's a complete and utter dig at it, because there's no promotion, no relegation, which although they say, there is, there's not. It doesn't matter that a few teams can go in and out of it. It should be every team should be able to have the ability to go in and out. If you want to create this breakaway league, you have to change the whole structure. It's not an invite-only club, and it should never be an invite-only club. In terms of the Champions League, the European Champions League, funny enough, only teams in Europe can be in it. Fine. No one's got a problem with that at all. That is about as exclusive as it should get. The same way that Rangers and Celtic can't be part of the Premier League because they're in Scotland. Same kind of difference. It makes absolutely no sense. But there's this idea that...
But Swansea and Cardiff can be in the Premier League.
Yeah, I know. I don't fucking like them anyway. That's an anomaly. But there's this idea that because a handful of clubs in Europe have got a bit more money than other people, they're entitled to go and be in a position where they can make money every single year, but yet it costs the fans. And again, the whole thing for me is about the fans, and everyone keeps talking about the fans. And I actually agree with you what you're saying about Sky Sports and BT and how all of a sudden this news came out and everyone went, "Oh, I don't fucking like that and that's terrible," because they're all interested in their own fucking back pockets. Again, Sky, BT, whoever it is gets the rights. I doubt they will compared to other streaming services. If they get the rights to this European Super League, they're going to shut up about the whole thing. They're going to get all behind it and they're going to love life and be whatever. They're going to do what they can do and make shitloads of money out of it. It's only got people's interests that are right up the top about them making money. And again, I get that football is a business. I completely understand that and I appreciate that. But UK, and again, this is no dig at them, and I think even their fans can be really, really accepting of this, is Tottenham are not a big European club. They never have been. They might be in the future if this were to go through this current form. Again, they've made the Champions League final recently. So, hey, maybe this is the start of something new for them. But right now, they are not one of Europe's best teams. Not at all. If you want to look at Europe's best teams at the moment, based purely on merit, on nothing else, not about size or stature, about history or whatever, you're looking at the teams that currently hold automatic qualification spots for Europe. So at the moment, again, this is at the moment, currently the best teams in Europe include Bayern Munich, fine, PSG, fine, some of the usual suspects, Barcelona, Atletico Madrid, Real Madrid, usual suspects. But Chelsea, we're fifth at this moment in time, and Liverpool as well, they're sixth. Arsenal are fucking ninth, I think, after a point yesterday. These are not the biggest teams in Europe. They're not the best teams in Europe at the moment. So is this Super League actually super, or is it just promoting a load of shit? After a while, this might work for a season, and I completely understand that people are getting really pissed off about it. And I'm with them. After a season, this could be, okay, well, we need to get a little bit of money in, and we're going to do this for one season, and hopefully everyone can understand, because we've been massively hit by the pandemic. We've massively been hit by it. And I think people would go, I don't really like it, but maybe, okay. Let's go for it. Let's make it work for a season. But 5 years' time, these games that are top quality games, AC Milan could be absolutely fucking dog shit. We could be dog shit. Is AC Milan versus Chelsea in 5 years' time a really good fixture? Probably fucking not. Do you know what I mean? And there's no guarantee of that. The difference is that these, those two teams, us and AC Milan, or us and whoever it be, whatever two teams it is, They're guaranteed to be in there every single year. There is no risk at all for the clubs involved and the owners. Let's get this right, because I know there's a lot of board members at a lot of clubs, including Chelsea, that were massively against the idea of this. Let's talk about the owners, because that's where it really comes down to. The owners are the ones that are going to make ginormous amounts of money off of this. Certain owners feel they have the right to be in Europe's best competition because of what they've done previously, which is complete and utter horseshit. Complete and utter horseshit. And you look, in terms of England's top 6 teams, Manchester City, correct me if I'm wrong on this, have been in the Champions League for all of the last 10 seasons, I believe. It might have been a little bit less, but they have never been in the Champions League, then dropped out, and then gone back into it. Every other team in the top 6 has. Spurs are currently, well, they were in Europa League this year. United are in Europa League this year. Arsenal in Europa League this year. Liverpool were in Europa League, made the final and lost it. Who's the other one I'm forgetting? Us. Oh, yeah, us. We've been in it. We've won it. Whatever. Fine. Chill. Absolutely. I've got no problem with that. That's a system that works. We get rewarded if we are good. We get punished if we are shit. But in the NFL, again, part of the reason I'm wearing this shirt, in the NFL, you get rewarded for being shit. But that's fine because there's a salary cap in place. There's things that stop you. And the idea is to make the whole thing more competitive. The Super League has never said anything about making this really competitive. And if you look at the people that are right up the top of this Super League proposal, it's Real Madrid, it's fucking Liverpool, and it's Man United, and a handful of fucking others. The Cronkies are probably right up there as well. It's all using the American sports model, which I'm not going to lie, I quite like in American sport. That's because there's fuck all tradition to do with it. There is absolutely no tradition to do with it whatsoever. You're breaking away football traditions massively, all for the expense of someone's back pocket to get a little bit of money out of it. And fun enough, I think you'll find Real Madrid are one of the people that have lost a shitload of money since the pandemic and have caused themselves real problems. So have Liverpool. They were asking people for furlough money. Tottenham, who are not a big 6 side in terms, one of the Europe's elite sides in terms of, size and quality and history and everything like that. Never won a European trophy before in their fucking life. They're being included. And of course, Daniel Levy's going, oh yeah, well, I'm fucking going to get involved. Of course I am, because I'm going to make a shitload of money. There is absolutely no risk for these teams at all. And all you're doing is taking away from the quality of the Premier League. There are some great sides. West Ham are a good side. Leicester are a good side. Everton are a really good side. They're trying to build a brand new stadium. Is it going completely out the fucking window because all the best games are going to be taken away from them? It's complete horseshit. And I know we're saying about, we're going to still try and be in the Premier League and whatever. But the real difference is it going to be competitive? And are us as the big 6 going to try and win the fucking thing? We should, but will we? I don't fucking think so. And there's no guarantee and certainty about it. So for me, you cannot like this whole idea and whole model because it's so unpredictable. If you want to bring out facts, then fine. Bring out the fucking facts. But you aren't doing it. You aren't doing it. And again, I'm really annoyed by it. You can clearly tell I'm ranting about it. I really am annoyed. But at the same time, if you give us a little bit more background and you put the actual facts on the table, maybe we're actually going to give a little bit more of a shit and we're going to give a little bit more respect to the idea. But the fact is, the announcements are coming out really late at night. There's been fuck all said. It's all spineless. And the whole idea that even people at clubs aren't necessarily happy about it is because the top fucking 12, and I'm going to kind of leave Abramovich out of it because I think he might be a little bit more pissed off at the idea than people are maybe making out. But the top 6, 7, 8 in terms of big sporting brands, in terms of Fenway Sports Group and the Glazers and whatever, they're making so much fucking money. It's ridiculous. And the whole reason is because all these teams' history and all these teams' current situation are so fucking unpredictable. They just want to make sure their pockets are okay. Who's going to pay the price? The fucking fans, the football clubs, not only in terms of us actually as the football clubs involved in this thing, but also right the way down the footballing leagues, because the whole quality and integrity is going to be completely and utterly fucked. Honestly, it's shit. I hate the idea of it. Pice, you can please go and rant now because I need to fucking calm down.
Exactly. Like, we'll get to the super chat in just a second. I quickly want to shout out that we have 760 people in here, which is huge. And I am less than 700 subscribers away from 10,000 subscribers. So if there is just a large majority of you that haven't subscribed yet, please do that, because, we want to hit 10,000 subscribers as soon as we possibly bloody can. It would mean the world to me. It would make things just better, on a tough day for football, on a tough day for all of us. Cheer me up. Do you know what I mean? Just click subscribe down below. That would be massively appreciated. And all of you guys, smash the like button as well, because YouTube likes, and it pushes these videos out to more people. And what we try to do is that while we try to give our opinion, all of us did a lot of reading on this. And, some people might not have the time when they're full-time working, when they're parents, whatever. They might not have had the time to do as much research into it as ourselves have. So, maybe if this allows other people to get more of a feel of why people feel the way they are and what exactly is happening, if you drop the like button, it will be suggested to more different people. Content creators grow like that. So please subscribe, please smash the like button. And I'll read out this super chat here saying Brexiteers can relate with having any union in the guise of self-determination and propose prosperity. History is sometimes manufactured, like 2009 semi-final. Obviously, when Chelsea, Barcelona, that whole thing happened, right? Do you know what? I'll just let you answer, Lewis. What do you think about this super chat?
Brexiteers can relate with leaving any union in the guise of self-determination and proposed prosperity. History is sometimes manufactured, like the 09 semi. What is he talking about? He's talking about us designing our own future potentially.
I suppose so. Would you see it like that, Ian?
If we look at the Super League, and the biggest problem for me is that it kills all the competitions underneath it. And I understand with domestics and everything, you could still have them in the Premier League, but they can't really compete there seriously. You could extend the squads all that you want, but there's nothing to really compete for, because the top four doesn't mean anything. You're in direct competitions to UEFA Champions League, so you aren't looking to compete in that competition either, unless you're having a squad that massive it can compete in two different competitions in the exact same day with two different managers. And that creates a big enough problem in itself. I think if the Super League was to change from its original format, maybe you'd have a lot of people accept it, because in my opinion, there still needs to be relegations and no guarantees that you can be in the competition. And the problem is UEFA had the exact same thing too. Top 8 from their new Swiss model was going to go straight into next year's Champions League as well, regardless of qualification. So with that in mind, wouldn't you have a very similar problem in about 4 years' time to now anyway? That's a bigger problem for me that I'm seeing as well, as opposed to everything else that you're saying, which is all problems in itself. That's why this looks rushed, but this also doesn't look like the final product, because I'm trying to think how feasible the Super League would be in a sense if you were to even keep 12 clubs in it just from the off. Like in terms of marketability, in terms of keeping it attractive and even keeping it more entertaining, because we'll talk about rivalries and everything, and you will build new rivalries with European clubs, but you also lose the excitement for it in a factor. Like I've already said for years, I don't really get as excited for El Clasico as a lot of people do, because it happens twice a year minimum. I don't know why people milk it so much. And that would be a very similar thing we'd have to see here. You see a lot more of the top clubs facing each other, but I think you'd start to eventually see a disparity even in the Super League, and you see even bigger clubs get bigger, and not other clubs getting smaller, but you'd see them starting to get less money than the other ones at the top. And it is always about money, which is why we're stuck in a position of two evils, because I don't really think UEFA's innocent in all this. The FA ain't innocent in all this. FIFA's response to this has been very quiet, because low-key they can be bribed out of this and it can back them. UEFA just know that they aren't necessary anymore and they're in panic, so they're throwing out a bunch of empty threats, which really doesn't mean anything. So there's a lot of perspectives where this is wrong, but I don't know, to say that we're in charge of our own futures, I feel like that's the only reason why Roman Abramovich even agreed to this, because we weren't initially going to join. But Manchester City and Chelsea both decided it would be better for them to be on this side of the coin than the other side, seeing as this is actually happening. And from Roman's sense, I don't even think he's that wrong. This is better for the club financially in the long term. So it makes sense that he's jumped onto this knowing that the decision is kind of out of his hands already. you might as well just be on the right side of it. So I don't want to see anyone giving Roman Abramovich stick on this either. But that's just how fucked the situation is.
Can I just add on that very quickly? Is about saying about Abramovich, and I'm all with you completely, saying about it was taken out of his hands. Abramovich, and probably someone will know the numbers better than I will. Don't we owe Abramovich £1 billion worth of money, actual cash money
at this point? Yeah.
Yeah, if he were to ever leave us. Now, if he doesn't go into the European Super League and in 5 years' time goes, oh my God, the whole thing's gone to shit. Chelsea as a club, he would pull out. He would have no other way because he wouldn't get into that European Super League and the whole thing would be a fucking disaster. The likelihood is he would probably pull out of Chelsea and he would take £1 billion worth of either debt with him, which, I mean, are you going to fucking do with your money? You're not going to take £1 billion worth of debt with you, or you're going to take it from somewhere. And the likelihood is the club wouldn't fucking exist anymore. Because who the fuck is going to come in and pay £1 billion plus and actually buy the club from Abramovich? Who's going to pay £1 billion over the asking price? It ain't going to happen for a team that's in a second-rate competition. So I don't want to hear anyone give Abramovich shit on this, because realistically, he had no fucking choice. Everyone else has gone for it. If you're the only one that stays away from it and you end up in the shit product, you're fucked. He can't risk his own money.
Let me just quickly interject there, because people will make the counter argument, but what about PSG? What about Bayern? Okay, to be honest, PSG and Bayern might just be smarter. They will let all the other 12 take the heat right now. In 3 months' time, no one will care about it anymore. They'll join. But it's also different when you're... What the hell? I mean, I hope someone of the thingies will have blocked it anyway, but you're a mug. Anyway, it's different when you're kind of the only one in the league that is meant to join anyway. Because we would have been the odd one out while 5 others joined. That's why what Ian and Lewis said. And before I let you go, Pies now, I know you've been sat here quiet for a very long time. Guys, we have so many people watching, 830, and there's so many people I cannot pick and choose who to show on screen and whatever. So if you want to, want me to read out your opinion, want to show it on screen or whatever, do use the super chat function. It'd be massively appreciated. It helps out the channel. Of course, you don't have to, but if you really want to get your opinion through, because otherwise I'll just naturally miss every comment. Let's be honest, there's too many people right now to pick otherwise. So I'm used to super chat function if you fancy it. And again, please subscribe. We want to hit 10,000 subscribers. But Pice, we've said a lot of things now. I have a couple of things to add after, but I want to give you the chance to just, let your feelings flow, and maybe also give a bit of a reaction to what all of us three said before you.
Yeah, to be honest, man, I don't care about like the politics behind it. I just care about the fans' perspective, like what we feel right now. Like honestly, I just feel sick. Honestly, like why the hell would anyone want this? Like people are saying City and Chelsea fans should be excited because we'll be competitive in it. It's a load of crap. It's a load of rubbish. I don't want to play the top teams every week. I don't want an NBA-type American format playing the PSGs, the Bayerns, the Reals. They should be once every year, 2 year, 3 year, 4 year, 5 year thing, depending on the draw. That's the whole magic of it. Like, how do you think the 2012 team would feel as well? If this does go ahead in 10 years' time, if we win this money-based competition 2 or 3 times or 1 time, what would that dramatic UCL win in Munich actually mean? Because for us fans, that would mean a lot. But the wider footballing perspective and how they would look down on it, it'd be a joke because this thing would take over, in my opinion. Like, it's a kick in the teeth for every football fan. I've not seen one person back this. The players, for instance, at Chelsea, obviously we've heard that like there's rumours that anyone who joins this league can't represent their country. Like, what the hell is that? Like, for most players, and I can understand, the joy of representing your country is bigger than playing for your club. Like, in my opinion, we have to fight this. We have to use our voice. Go to bloody Stamford Bridge if you want to. I've seen on social media and Twitter that there's planned mass riots or whatever going at protests outside the bridge.
Please keep social distancing if you do that.
Yeah, of course. But like, just use the hashtags if you're not going to go. Like, make yourselves known. Like, I'm just so deflated as a fan. I feel backstabbed. We have no voice. They don't care about us. It's just money driven. They've just turned up and decided you have to follow this. You have to follow with this now because we want to line our own pockets. Like, as Ian said, when did Arsenal and Spurs get the God-given right to join and decide their super? What about the West Hams and Leicesters that might get a UCL spot this season that fought so hard this season to play in the most prestigious competition that, they're probably loving, even though they'll fear going up against the best sides, they'll bloody love it at the same time. That's not going to happen now, is it? I just feel sick. I feel angry. I'm I'm disgusted, honestly. Like, as well, where's the whole competition in this? Like, in terms of the Premier League, if we still go on with the Premier League, like, who's to say there's going to be competition? There's going to be no first day buzzing into a new club because we're just going to be fielding bloody kids and prioritising this crap. Like, honestly, it's just these owners want to Americanise the sport. I'm just sick. I'm sick of it. It's going to be a corrupt load of shite anyway, run by money-hungry rats like the Glazers and Perez. It's just a mess. Honestly,
just super quickly. To Mr. Polito's way, that's fake news. Sorry, continue.
No, that's all I have to say. It's just a joke. It's going to be a corrupt load of shite, even if this does go ahead, because it's run by Glazers and Perez. They're just going to rig all the matches. It's just, I don't want it. I hate it. And I'm sorry if I sound big-headed, but I don't care for other people's view on this because mine's so set on it. I just don't give a fine about anyone else and anyone else's opinion unless you have the same one as mine, because it's the only right one in my opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, you all make very good points. I will, and I'm not even necessarily trying to defend this opinion. I will just make, because to try and have a really good debate and trying to get as deep as we possibly can into the matter, we need to kind of open up discussions. If we all just agree, then we can just go home now because there's nothing else to add, right? So I just want to pose a couple of things. Now, first of all, as we've discussed, and I see your super chat, Rodrigo, I will mention it after this. Like I touched on at the beginning, the big money in this competition comes from entering it, not from winning anything. So that goes against the logic of we will prioritize the Super League to the Premier League because winning it doesn't actually give us that much of a financial gain compared to just being there in the first place, and we're guaranteed to be there in the first place. So I do understand that people say, like in the position we are now, who cares about the game against Brighton tomorrow if we don't have to make top four? Sure. But now this is our 31st game of the season. And, let's be honest, also with the financial influx of money that we would get from this, of course, I'm just talking about our perspective right now. Of course, for the Leicesters, for the West Hams, it's an awful thing. But for us, until match day 25, 30, you would expect us to be fighting for the title. So sure, maybe the last 8, we won't care anymore because we know we're not going to win the league. But winning the Premier League will still be as important as it is before all of this happened. Like it's no different because only 2nd, 3rd, 4th makes a difference because that qualifies you for the Champions League, which now doesn't matter. We still want to win the Premier League equally as much. There was a time before European competitions worked this way. By the way, the Champions League is called Champions League. By that logic, only champions should be in it. And then that's why there was the Cup Winners' Cup as well. That's why it was, not 2nd, 3rd, 4th, right? So football was like this. Now, obviously, we've gotten used to it being like that. And now it changes and people hate it. The top clubs will still fight for the Premier League every week and every day. And only at the very end of the season, in my opinion at least, okay? I see Ian's face. Only towards the end of the season when you can't win the league anymore, then 100% I agree. If you're still in the Super League by then, because mind you, it's a group stage, and if you don't finish it within the top 3 or possibly 4 and 5th, if you don't win the playoff, you're not in the European Super League anymore by the time you get to the last 8 games in the Premier League. So by that point, you might as well focus on the Premier League and try to do as well as you can, or the FA Cup or the League Cup, right? I don't know how the UEFA, again, this is the same structure as the UEFA proposed today for the Champions League. So if you say the European Super League stops us from competing in the FA Cup, League Cup, whatever, then so would the new Champions League system. Just to clarify that. So I don't know, because it is a few more games. I don't know how they intend to still play League Cup and FA Cup and get all of this. I have no idea. I mean, bloody hell, we play an World Cup next year from November to December, and no one still knows when the league's going to be played. So no one has any idea about anything, right? So that's the one counter argument that I will make. I don't think it will so drastically change the competition in the league that it will have a big impact. Again, the big money you get from just being there, it doesn't really make that much of a financial difference whether you get far in the European Super League. So you could argue, I think in terms of compared to when you start with the 350 million, how much more you get if you win it, you actually get more if you win the Premier League. So you could argue financial incentive, there's actually more from doing that in the Premier League. Again, I don't know the exact numbers on this, maybe I'm wrong here, but it's not far off. That I know that, right? So I make that case, and I'll make one more case that what about clubs that currently finish between 8th and 15th most seasons? I know they have the chance to make top 4 and get the Champions League, but it's very unlikely for them. the way that people react right now, saying it all makes everything irrelevant, basically tells these clubs that are in those league positions every year, your whole existence is irrelevant because you're not playing for anything. And by us being so angry about us possibly being in this position if we're fourth by May and not fighting for the league title anymore, we're saying, and I don't really want to use examples here, but just your typical clubs that usually finish between 8th and 15th, that their existence doesn't matter. And I don't like that because their fans will strongly disagree with you. They care about every game. They want to win every game. They want to get as many points as they can. And it will not be different for us as it is for them. And I know people don't like this. Like I said, I'm a Formula One fan as well. I'm a Ferrari fan. We had the worst season last year in 40 years. And we were not fighting for wins. We were fighting for points. We were fighting for coming 10th. I was still as invested in every single race as I was in when we were fighting for races. Maybe I'm an odd one out. I will admit that. Who knows? But I was still as invested. So I would presume of myself, judging from that, I would be as invested when we're fighting for trying to come third in the Premier League rather than sixth if we can't win the league anymore. Like, and again, that still doesn't mean I like the Super League. I just don't like a lot of the arguments that people bring up against it, if that makes sense. I'm gonna get to the super chat here quickly, just because otherwise I'll forget it. And then I'll let you guys react to what I just said. Rodrigo has said with the £5 donation, appreciates it a lot, saying the Super League is a good thing. Only need tweaks with the relegation style. UEFA are not saints in this. Look at the allocation of tickets for Champions League finals. 100%. UEFA are not saints in this. The problem is, and you can call it like, oh, it only needs tweaks, but the founding members will never allow just tweaks of relegation. Otherwise, what was the point in them ever creating this? The point of them creating this is not having that. What could happen over the next decade is that they make it a bigger competition, that they make it maybe 3 groups of 10 and increase it to 30 leagues and allow 15 clubs to qualify rather than just 5. That could happen. It could even go to 40. Who knows? They could 100% increase it. But they definitely are, because otherwise, again, I don't see the point in the whole idea if they're going to make it possible for clubs in the European Super League of the founding members to get out. Unless they say maybe, like, if you get relegated in your domestic league, then you can't be, you get kicked out of the founding members. Maybe that's a small incentive they could put in there. And then one last argument I will make, and then I will put it to, let me go with the opposite direction. Let me go with Pies first then. The Premier League is a weird example of things being different because in La Liga, the top 3 are the top 3. They always are. In the Serie A, I know AC Milan and Inter Milan have had struggling years, but they're up there. Obviously, you have an Atalanta coming in there. You have a Napoli in there, in particular under Sarri. They got super close to winning the league there. And then in Germany, when was the last time anyone but Bayern Munich won the league? 2012? I'm pretty sure 2012 was the last time anyone. Exactly. 2012. That's nearly 10 years ago. And in France, you're in an even worse situation ever since PSG turned up with money. Before that, it was interesting. Lyon, Marseille, Montpellier, when Giroud was there. So, great stuff. But that's not the situation anymore. So the whole, but the same teams will qualify anyway. So with the exception of the Premier League, in all the countries, the same clubs will be in the Champions League anyway. I know it's not nice to say, yeah, but at least the others would have a chance. I get it. But if we're just looking at it realistically, it wouldn't actually make a difference. 9 times out of 10. And I know that's not nice to say, but 9 times out of 10 it would, especially because the money problem. The money problem in Spain, those clubs have the most money. In Italy, those clubs have the most money. In Germany, Bayern have the most money. In France, PSG have the most money. And in England, this top 6 have the most money. You just have stupid clubs like Arsenal and Tottenham who don't know how to do with their money, hence why clubs like West Ham and Leicester, especially Leicester, are regularly ahead of them, even though they have a lot less money. I mean, Mourinho, like Tottenham, last year, about a year ago, took a £300 million loan from the British government, and now they just paid Jose Mourinho £30 million as a payoff for sacking him. Are you taking how are you taking a £300 million loan and then pay your manager $30 million to sack him? Are you taking the Michael? But anyways, Pice, do you have any reaction to any of the things I said, whether it's about the whole competing in the Premier League? Do you disagree with my arguments there? And also about, does it change anything for you? Or is it just so drastic for you that you say you have to be able to qualify, even if it's super unlikely that anyone other than the teams that would be in the European Super League actually do?
I strongly disagree with what you said about competing in the Premier League. I don't think the club will care about that anymore. I think they'll be so invested in this new competition.
But why? There's no financial benefit from it.
Bragging rights. Bragging rights is why.
Like,
no, but what if they're out already?
The whole concept is just a load of crap. Like, it just goes down to so many bullet points. Like, let's say, for example, like, where's the memories in this? Like, as I said before, playing Bayern Munich every week for like the next 5 or they've signed a 23-year agreement. I doubt it will go on that long, but still, imagine it does. We beat Bayern, I don't know, like say 10 times or whatever. What does that?
Sorry, I need to interrupt you super quickly. We wouldn't play Bayern Munich every week. The maximum you would play any team in the competition is 4 times. Twice in the group stages and then twice in the knockout stages if you get drawn against them. You wouldn't play against every team.
Like, that's the same Champions League at the moment.
The point is, there's no speciality in it.
Why change it?
There's no
speciality for more money, but I'm just saying you don't.
Which is why the Super League, I think, does actually need some more changes in itself. But I think the whole concept is because those clubs have been pissed off with UEFA and their rulings over the last few years, and this has become like a last chance thing from them. This everyone's been saying the whole reason for the Super League even getting formed is because they weren't happy with the new format that was being produced. Because
it's a shit format, by the way. It's a shit format.
Yeah, which is why there's no winners in this. The Super Cup would look a lot better, and the Super League would look a lot better, in my opinion, if there was relegations and if there wasn't this notion that teams would just stay in the league just based on their name power alone. Because regardless of what you're going to say, whether you like the Super League or not, the Champions League was going to be very similar to this 4 years from now when the Swiss model comes out. Because the top 8 would get automatic qualification for next year's Champions League just for qualifying to the last 16. So this is just a more obvious term of it happening in the Super League, but the Champions League, it was going to happen anyway. So nobody's innocent in this. They're all guilty. I don't think the Super League as it stands right now will probably be the final product because of the amount of negotiations I expect there to see. If we can have relegations, if we can have teams not just playing there based on name alone, or even one of the two, I think people would be happy with that. I big up Jack as well in the comments section. I didn't even see you there, bro.
Jack.
There's too many people that are missing people. But let me go. Let me allow Pies to go back. I'm sorry I interrupted you. And Jack, big up yourself, Jack. It's been a minute. I know Jack feels very strongly. But let me go back to you, Pies. I'm sorry I interrupted you. Let me finish your point. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. I just want to clarify to the chat again. I'm just trying to make a good conversation. I do see positives, not necessarily positives, but I do see this is not so different to what we had, and I just think both is bad. And there's things that the UEFA have done, whether it's in terms of not working against racism, whether it's in the FIFA in terms of literally killing people by making a World Cup in Qatar. And that is things that I think people just they shove it under the rug because they don't care anymore now, because now this is the important thing. So this is what we discuss. So now the FIFA and the UEFA, when we're making them the good guys. And this I don't appreciate. And that's why I want to say, I agree with you that the Super League is wrong. But the Champions League structure as it is, while a tad better, is also wrong. And the big thing that's wrong is the Premier League. The amount of money the Premier League generates and the fact that the big clubs in the Premier League generate more money than the small clubs in the Premier League is equally as unfair. Anyway, Pies, speak your heart. Like I said, everyone's entitled to their opinion, and I'm not even necessarily disagreeing with you.
I just don't get it. Like, there's just no winners or losers in this whole thing. Like, in the Super League, there's no winners or losers. There's no relegation. It just sounds like a load of crap to me. I'm sorry. I'm almost speechless at this point because I don't care about the politics behind it. Like, the Champions League just still feels special to me. Like, that feels home. Anything after the Champions League, I don't care about. I just don't. I don't care about this new thing. I hate it. There's nothing else more to say. Like, I can try and come back with you some points to your points, but I'm just so annoyed. I can't even process things, to be honest with you, Laurenz. I'm furious with the whole concept of it and what these owners have just decided to do for their own greed, because that's what it is. It's just greed.
Try to just basically reply to a few of the things that we've said, and that will just allow the conversation to flow on, and we'll get Ian to say a couple more things and Lewis to say a couple more things, and then we'll go around and reply to each other, if that makes sense.
Yeah, but like you said, there's like almost positives to this, and just trying to make a conversation. But for me, I'm just so deflated and down that there is no. I don't see one positive in this. I really, really don't. I think it's terrible. I'm sorry, but that's just the way I feel about it.
No, that is fair. But if I asked you, if you didn't know how the Premier League work right now, and I told you this is how the Premier League is going to work from tomorrow, and this is going to be this big change compared to when it was super different in the 80s, would your reaction not be all the same? And now you're a big Premier League fan, and you kind of want to protect the Premier League from being out-moneyed by another even bigger thing, when the Premier League back in the early 90s already out-moneyed the whole EFL and Premiership structure.
Yeah, but like, I'm only 19. I can't go back on history. Like, I don't want to look at past events. I have to like live my life now. I want to react to what I see and what I think. Like, you know what I mean? I don't care. I do care if I look into it, obviously, but my instant reaction is, of course we're going to be outraged by this because we're living in the moment. In 5 years, we might like it, but right now, I think it's crap. I think it's awful. Like, it's the same thing as Goldbridge said on history. Like, some will learn to love it, and some will just walk away from the sport completely. And that's the scary thing for me. Is it's so. It's a 50-50 decision. Like, what do? Do you continue to back Chelsea and just support the players and manager, but absolutely hate the club, like the actual club? But how can you do that? Because we are Chelsea fans. We love Chelsea. What angle do you take? That's my whole point. It's just up to you as an individual, and that's what's sad about it. We should all be the same. We should all love the same thing, and I just don't think it's going to be like that anymore. I think it's going to be so divided.
Before I let Ian speak now, if you're asking about positives, I don't think the world of football has ever been as united as it has been today. So if you're talking about positives, there is a small positive, not for the right reasons, but a positive regardless. Ian, I saw on your face you had a couple of things to say. Go on.
Going back to the Premier League thing about when that started in the early 90s, I will say this for a fact because I know this is 100% true. This is completely different to when the Premier League started because the Premier League always consulted the EFL and the FA. There was always a mutual respect between all three parties about we want to bring a little bit more money into this game, but we still want to try and keep the same integral part. It wasn't going to be we're going to break away and do our own thing and fuck you lot. It was we're going to try and make the game better. This now is fuck you lot. We're going to try and we're going to make the game better by ourselves. They're not consulting UEFA. They're not consulting the Premier League, the FA, FIFA, all these different people. It's these 12. I tried to simplify it for my girlfriend earlier. Essentially, what this is it's a ginormous cock off. That's what it is. Is my cock's bigger than your cock? That is all it literally is. And the whole idea that you've got people like Perez and Kroenke and the Glazers and again the usual suspects are going, oh, I've got a massive knob, so I'm entitled to shag any bird I want. That is the claim. Doesn't matter that they're a complete dickhead at the rest of the time, but they just think because I've got the biggest one, I'm allowed to do what I want with it, which is never the fucking case. This is real world. This is real life. Do you get what I mean? In terms of the Premier League, going back
Let me just ask you one thing, though, because you said there was conversation always between the Premier League, the EFL, let's make this work. Obviously, we don't know how much of that is true, but what we knew over the last few years...
That's fact. Yeah, that is fact.
No. That I agree with that. What I'm saying is these big clubs wanted to change the Champions League structure for years and were in conversation with the UEFA to do so. Just the UEFA and the big clubs could never find an agreement, hence why the big clubs took it into their own hands. So the conversation, like between the Premier League and the EFL, took place. They just, unlike the Premier League and the EFL, couldn't find an agreement. It's not like they just decided, we're just going to do our own thing without...
Well, this is the thing. They've made a threat. This is the whole thing for me. This is a threat. I think it's going to happen, but I think originally they were planning on it not happening. And essentially, when UEFA was going to put out this new bill today, this new proposal, they were hoping that something changed. Obviously, it didn't. They've never tweeted from their Twitter account. They've got nothing on their website. I think they didn't want this to go through. Now, all of a sudden, here we are. We're in the same shitty situation that we're all in, and there's so much unpredictability about it that no one quite knows what the case is. I'm not going to get on the back of certain teams. I'm not, even Spurs, I'm not going to get on the back on, because they've still got to look at it and go, well, we're going to get left behind if we get left in the Premier League, same way Chelsea or whatever. You can do all these different things. There's money involved and it all gets political. And I'm like Pice, I don't do politics. If you want to know what I generally do, I go into the balloting box every single day that I can go and vote. I go in there, I use my right to vote, I draw a ginormous cock and bollocks on the paper and I put it in the thing. I hate all that shit. We should do it for the love of the game. And I know this is a business and I get all that sort of shit, right? I generally get it. But it does not mean that you have the right to put your fans and the history of football at risk because you think you've got the biggest cock. That doesn't apply. The way that it is at the moment, the way that it's structured at the moment is good. Not great, it's good and it's working and people are going to get money. But again, as a fan, we make risks. We take risks all the time. We buy shirts. I've got a Havertz shirt over the far side, hoping that he's going to be one of our best players in years to come. That's a risk that I took, right? It's only 25 quid, Megastore, but 40 quid. Lewis knows, he was there with me. That's my gamble. It's not a massive gamble. That's my gamble. The gamble is that I pay for the Sky. I pay for the BT every single month. And hopefully that we go well and we watch Chelsea win a shitload of games. That's my risk. That's what I'm doing. But at the same time, this is not what the big clubs, especially Real Madrid, that's not what they're doing. They've had a shit year financially, and all of a sudden FFP gets dropped, and then bang, the Super League comes out of nowhere. The talks spark up again. Just like that, it comes out of nowhere when it suits them to do it. And all of a sudden, it's a case of, we have got the biggest, we've got the biggest parties here, and we're going to try and do what we can to make sure that we are okay. Now, because of these other people, do you know what I mean? In terms of Spain and Italy and all this other stuff, that's their project. We don't have to get dragged into it, and we shouldn't be dragged into it, right? We should not be dragged into it. But the reality is you've got dodgy owners from all over the world. People are saying it's America. It partially is, and I know it's the American system. I get that. But it's not only America. It's not only America at all. It's people that have had a shit year, a really shit year, that want to make their money back. They want to make their money back in the way that only one way will be able to, which is all of a sudden, oh yeah, let's think about this Super League. Let's talk about these discussions that stopped for years because everything was going fine. Now we need to do something that makes us a little bit more money. And again, I get it's a business. I get that we've got to do all that sort of stuff. I completely understand it. But there is only one group of people right now that I feel can stop this from happening. It's not the FA, it's not the Premier League, it's not FIFA, it's not UEFA, it's not the fans. The only thing that can stop this happening is the fucking players. You see certain players that absolutely despise this happening, they're going to have to put a foot down. But realistically, are they going to? No.
But because you say players need to be the right players.
Whole career, everything they've worked for, making millions of pounds doing, why would they risk that? They're not going to. So,
but it needs to be the right players. It needs to be the right players. Otherwise, it's pointless.
It's got to be all of them. It has to be all of them. I'm not
all
saying,
of them. If Ronaldo turns up and says this, that is a big thing. If,
of course it is.
I don't know, Callum Hudson-Odoi says it, not going to do that much.
Again, it's got to be all of them. It's got to be the right people. And it was very nice to see. I'm not a lover of his, but Bruno Fernandes and Ander Herrera, both of them, had a massive thing talking about their hatred towards it. The players are the employees completely, but it doesn't mean they should stand for it. And they're not going.
But if they're young, they're working for their livelihoods.
Of course they are.
Speaking out against this could risk your whole livelihood.
Who am I to turn around and say that you can't work for what you've worked for your whole life? That's not my place to say anything, and it's none of our places to say anything. But realistically, you've got certain players that have got a real opportunity to make a stand for it. Are they going to? No, because they're going to risk their whole livelihood, and the whole game is going to change around them completely. Now, we can do what we can. We can do boycotts and protests. I'm going down to the bridge tomorrow. I'm just going to say my piece and I'm going to be heard. Do you know what I mean? That's what I'm going to do. That's how I'm exercising my right to do it. But the players, it will cost them millions and millions and millions of pounds if they do go, fuck this, I'm not being a part of it. It's complete and utter monopoly towards the big clubs. The big clubs have got a complete and utter monopoly. And Justice was saying earlier on, you can't put toothpaste back in the tube. You can't. The damage is already fucking done. UEFA need to fucking buck up their ideas and change the idea of what they want go and do because it's a shit idea. It's been a shit idea from the word go. FIFA have got to do something. How much they can do, I don't know. But you just have to have somebody with a pair of fucking bollocks that's got to say, because we're all sitting here going, oh, well, I fucking don't like it. But who are us for, dickheads? Do you know what I mean? In comparison, you have to make a valid point, and it's got to have fucking weight to it. That's why I'm all agreeing with Pice. Use the hashtags, use all this stuff. Melinda's just said here. I know you love Melinda very much, so I will back her point completely. We are starting a fucking war. Let's act as if it is a fucking war, not okay, well, I suppose it would be all right if we do this and if we do that. Someone's got to fucking start a big argument. It's got to be a massive argument. And if it turns nuclear, obviously it won't turn nuclear, but it's essentially a war that could turn nuclear in a heartbeat. End it. End the whole fucking thing. Football is fine the way it is at the moment. I'm saying this, it's fine. It's not perfect, but it's fine. That's not the game that we loved and grew up watching and whatever. And I posted a picture on my Instagram. It's not fucking football anymore. And honestly, I've sat here for an hour and I've got to go because I've got to go and do some stuff elsewhere. I've tried to make a video for tomorrow, a nice little comedic piece about laughing at the weekend. And I just feel like a funeral half the time. I really do.
We're playing tomorrow.
This is just a dire day. And yeah, the game tomorrow, I couldn't even give a shit, honestly. And it's ridiculous. What have we worked for the last 10 years or however long you've been watching the game for? However long have you been slaving away, getting your hard-earned money to go and buy yourself that Chelsea shirt or that Man United shirt or that Real Madrid, Barcelona, whatever shirt it is? Are you slaving away your hard-earned time for all of a sudden the product that they're going to be selling you is going to be absolutely fucking dreadful? Hell bloody no. Hell no at all. I ain't going to be a part of that shit. And with that, I've got to go, guys, unfortunately. But it's just an absolute fucking shambles. It's an absolute shambles.
Hey, Ian, I appreciate you coming on. I really do. Check him out in the description, Craig28 Football. Subscribe to him. Definitely deserves more subscribers. Exactly. Like it says on his screen right there. Subscribe to him. Link is it down in the description. Before I give Lewis the floor for just a minute again, because he hasn't really said much in a while, I'll go to Pice, who said he basically has some news for us that he needs to share. So, Pice, take the floor. And Ian, again, thank you.
Cheers, guys.
Take care, bro.
Yeah, honestly, I'll message Ian later, but that was crazy. Just big respect to him. But anyway, the news is there's a couple of bits of news. So obviously they've come out. UEFA executive committee member has basically said that he expects Chelsea, Real Madrid, and Man City are going to be kicked out of this season's Champions League. It's probably going to happen on Friday. So well done to the club. We got.
Wait, say that again. Say that again.
On Friday, they expect that Real Madrid, Manchester City, and Chelsea are going to be kicked out of this season's Champions League. So well done for getting to the semi-final. But yeah, that means sod all now. So all
but bro, that is waffle. They will never do that,
bro. I'm serious.
You know how much money they're gonna lose by that?
Yeah, I don't believe it either.
I don't think it will happen. But still,
UEFA are scared. They are scared shitless right now.
If it does happen, though.
No, because not only are you going to tank next season's TV money, you're going to tank this season's as well. Well, no Champions League final. You're just going to hand the trophy to PSG.
Even if it goes on this season, I can just see them bloody rigging it so PSG win it anyway.
Yeah. I expect Real Madrid to get judged out disgustingly in the semi-finals, and I expect us to get judged out disgustingly in the finals.
We'll get beat in the finals because it will just be.
But we have to play a real high line then, so we can't give too many penalties.
And the other bit of news is obviously the culture secretary Oliver Downham warns that we'll be putting everything on the table to prevent this from happening. It says the football clubs in the ESL could be hit by a windfall tax and visa crackdown, which basically means more clubs could be banned from foreign transfers. So, I mean, there's so much news from the government and stuff. Yeah. They're all coming out saying they seem to be the main one behind it. The government saying we will get our beautiful game back and the fans are most important and stuff. So, I'm seeing banners and stuff being prepared for tomorrow. I'm seeing
that's all well and good, but let me quickly. That's all well and good, but where was Boris when it was about feeding children? And now that it's about football and keeping money in the country and not allowing clubs.
Yeah, I do want to say as well, UEFA have all this energy now. They know their money's getting disappeared, but when it was the big anti-racism arguments with the stuff in all the other Eastern European countries when England was getting played, like in Ukraine and all of that. I didn't see none of this energy. So UEFA, I don't give a shit about these, man.
Yeah,
I can't even lie.
Lewis, you're 100% right. UEFA, FIFA, the government, they're all wrong uns anyway. Like, they all have their
Exactly.
flaws.
There's no winners here.
There's no winners. But in this situation, for what we want, we have no choice but to support them to try and get what we want back.
No, I'd rather see the Super League get tweaked. I think if you change the rules on that, you could get a much better competition. The problem right now is that it keeps 15 clubs as a franchise. No matter what happens, they don't go up, they don't go down. This, with a couple tweaks, could easily be an upgraded version of the Champions League. With the right tweaks, it can happen. I know it's a pipe dream to like hope for the best and like we have the perfect scenario.
The problem is what we don't know right now is, will Florentino Perez, the Real Madrid boss, the Juve boss, the Glazers, who are vice president, will they be long-term worse than the UEFA, or will they be better? Right now, we don't know. What we know is UEFA are bad, and we might as well try with someone else. But 100%, like Lewis said, it cannot be 15 clubs are just allowed in it, and it cannot be that the ones that aren't automatically they make less money. That's unfair. But sorry, Pies, we both interrupted you. Please continue your point, and if there's anything more you want to talk about.
No, I just want to say, I know a lot in the stream I've been like making out that I'm speaking to for everyone. If Lewis feels that way, then 100%. Like, I'm not trying to be arrogant and saying like,
no, bro, you're more than entitled to your opinion. And as a fan who goes to Chelsea regularly, you are of course going to have it from a match-going perspective. My only thing is there are a bunch of different perspectives in all of this, and you keep an eye on everyone else's perspective. I can see your perspective as well, and you have every reason to be pissed off with this as a match-going fan because it kills football as we know it. You're correct in that, completely correct. My only thing is I can't sit here and just back UEFA like they aren't absolute dickheads as well. Everybody is wrong, and football has been allowed to become so money orientated in the last 15 years. That's not a surprise that we're here. And for me, it's just a case of now we're broken. Football is broken. It has been broken for years because of its reliance on money over the love of the sport for what it is. We're now past the point of no return, and we've been past the point of no return for so long. So the emotion that you have, which I understand, is just kind of lost on me because I don't see us going back to where football used to be. Like, we've been going away from it for years and years and focusing more on money and profit. We've gone so far into it that we aren't ever going back. So I have to try and find positives in this situation. My only positive is we're on the right side of the coin. We're the ones that are going to be more financially viable. We're going to be more attractive. We're going to look better to players in the future who want to come out and play for the most dominant league, which will be the Super League. Everything else is shit. That is the only positive we can take out of it. But football is shit at this point because it's been broken for so long.
Yeah, I want to say, like, I know you personally, obviously you said you'd much rather like a proper rebranded, like the rightly tweaked Super League. Like, just for me, like, I respect your opinion, but for me, I don't like. I think the name, the Champions League, even if it changes, I'll be more open to it than this personally because it has so much like history behind it. Like, I just don't want to start a new thing. Like, I just don't think it will mean as much as the Champions League. Like, that is what everyone knows and loves. So for me personally, it's hard to.
It didn't used to be called the Champions League. I know you said you don't care about the past, and that is a totally fair statement. But I'm still saying that these changes just happen in football. When it went from European Cup to Champions League. Champions League sounds a lot better, so maybe that just was an easier change at the time, right? But maybe people disagreed at the time because they were like, but what about our European Cups that we won? Everyone will say, but how many Champions Leagues have you won? It doesn't matter how many European Cups you've won. So that's just natural change, I think. No, natural is not the right word. But I just want to quickly read out, and I'll finish it off with Pies here because Lewis has to head out in a minute, and we'll wrap this up soon anyway. But I have the super chat here by Axel saying, excuse my ignorance, but I'm Canadian. What's wrong with watching the best European teams go against each other? Isn't that what the Champions League is all about? You're 100% right. That's what the Champions League is all about. The problem is...
God.
Wait. Wait. The Champions League is about that. But the Champions League means you have to actually be the best European teams to qualify for it. And right now, you have a Tottenham and Arsenal who well, Tottenham have, but Arsenal haven't smelled what Champions League feels like in longer, so they don't even know how that works anymore. But if there's Arsenal fans that haven't even been, I'm sure, young kids that haven't even been alive for the last time Arsenal were in the Champions League. So that's where some of the criticism comes in. Obviously, there's a lot more to look at it, but a small summary is the 15 people just are there because they apparently have the right to be there. And that's what people like Pies, also myself, not as extremely as Pies, but people like Pies, people like Ian, there are loads of people around the world and that we've seen on Twitter and that we've interacted with and blah, blah, blah. That is their biggest issue. Let me go to you first, Lewis, because I know you need to head off in just a second. Do you have anything else to add? Obviously, you just made, in my opinion, some very fair points. I would personally agree with Pies that I would rather the Champions League get adapted properly and control of it gets shared more evenly rather than just the UEFA having control of it, sharing the control with maybe a union of the biggest clubs or something like that. The name Champions League, Pies is right. The name Champions League is a lot better than Super League, but give it 10 years and none of us will care about that anymore. But obviously today is today, so we do care. But do you have anything else to add on both sides? Like, actually, no, I want to ask you this, Lewis. What are the bad sides of it that you hate the most? Because I know you say it's not the worst thing in the world, but you still don't like how it is like proposed right now. But what are, in your opinion, the worst things about the current Super League proposal?
My problem is how it messes up every other league underneath it. And if we're talking about it messing up every other team that isn't involved, the big reason is because it messes up their leagues. Like, I've used Spurs as an example. They can get eliminated from the first round of the Super League, and all they have is Premier League fixtures, but the Premier League fixtures mean nothing. Top four, they don't care about the Champions League. They're not involved, and that's the same for 5 other teams. What happens to the other 14? That league doesn't mean anything. Imagine Leicester City lose top 4 to United, Chelsea, Arsenal, and Liverpool. None of them are going into the top 4, though. So Leicester will get the spot, but it still won't really feel like a victory. I need it to be incorporated in all the league competitions like it's the Champions League. It has to be very similar to it. And it also it can't keep any teams in there just based on name alone. That's the problem for me. And that's where it messes up all the teams below as well. So you could say the problem is the teams that miss out, but that is why it's the problem for the teams that miss out. So my biggest problem is how it's incorporated into the other leagues. You can still play the Premier League in there, but the question is, what's the point of being in the Premier League then, unless you're just going outright to win it? That's the problem.
I think you make some very good points. Lewis, I know you need to head off. Lewis will do a stream on his channel in about 10 minutes time. So guys, we will probably wrap it up by then. So you can all go join him after. Definitely do that. His link is down in the description at Carefree Lewis G. Even though his name on this channel on the screen currently says Super League Winners 2022, which is big banner. Like, I'm a big fan. But again, Lewis, appreciate you coming on. Appreciate you sharing your thoughts. I just round us out with Pice and I'll talk to you soon, bro.
Take care, guys. Bless.
See you, bro.
So, Pies, for a couple of last minutes, obviously you say you don't see any positives from it. And what I want to ask you now, because you said you are seemingly still undecided, do you still support the players and the manager and kind of the team, but with the club you have a serious problem? I want to ask you actually the points that Ian and Lewis first made, that can you really have that much of a go at Chelsea because they were kind of backed into a corner and had to do this? Do you agree with that statement, or do you think, no, they could have just stood their ground and said, no, we're going to be in the Premier League and the normal Champions League, even though we're going to make millions and millions of less money?
I mean, it kind of comes back to the point of what Eunice said yesterday. If you guys know, Eunice is another YouTuber, Chelsea YouTuber. He said it seems like we've just become weak. We've become cowards then. If we're just, going along with things like, I don't know. For me personally, I just thought Chelsea would have better morals than this. Like, I just don't see this as good. I don't see this as a good thing to do. I know football's a business, but like, come on, guys. Like, seriously, it just seems to be an arrogant and selfish move to me personally. I don't get it at all. I really don't.
That is a fair enough statement. I agree with that. It is an arrogant and selfish move. My only argument to that would be, what company isn't selfish? Like the Sky Sports, I saw them today, and they were like that some board member of one of the top 6 English clubs said that the main priority for the clubs is to increase profit and revenue and the well-being of the smaller clubs and the leagues below them domestically is of secondary concern. But what company, like there is no company other than charities in the world, and charities don't live to make a profit, that do not prioritize their own profit and revenue over things they might affect positively. They still might want to affect them positively. And you know, Chelsea have done a lot against racism, especially recently. They've started a very good movement for that. They helped out drastically with the pandemic, whether it's offering up the Chelsea hotel to NHS workers for free, whether it's meals, whether it's this, whether it's not subsidizing anybody, whether it's paying full wages to every single staff employed at Chelsea Football Club. But at the end of the day, they still want to make revenue, even if they want to help. Helping is still not the most important thing. And I don't think whether that's a bank, whether that's an insurance company, whether that's I don't know what other good examples there are, like a betting company, whether it's, I don't know, whether it's brokers on like the Wall Street or whatever, like whatever it's called in London, every company, if they have some sort of sense, realistically, like business sense, will prioritize their own revenue, because their own revenue, I know it's at a big scale, but essentially they need to earn money so they can pay all of their people, and they need to make money so they can, sustain their family and they sustain their future generations. So I this is only a small point that I was confused about why haven't people going this. Obviously, clubs are going to prioritize themselves making revenue over helping a club in the 6th division of England, right? Like, I know it sounds wrong, but it's obvious.
Yeah, it's true. It's just like, from my point of view, like from there, you're just making it sound like we have some sort of financial crisis or something. Like Roman and the club are loaded already. Like, why do we have to do this? Like, there was talk that we were going to spend 250 million this summer. Like what?
Well, now you know how.
It's just, and maybe this was the plan all along. I don't know.
Maybe that's why Haaland asked for 600k a week, $1 million a week.
Yeah,
because
maybe
this was why
maybe this is why we spent 280 million or whatever last summer. And I saw a thing on Twitter yesterday, 2016. Thomas Tuchel apparently was open to a Super League idea, and there's been rumours coming out more or less, big rumours now, that this has been planned for a long, long time. I mean, we wanted Tuchel in 2017. We've got him now. Was this the plan all along, to get a manager that would just, first off, obviously is a world-class manager and obviously will be competitive in this, but most importantly, will it just be someone that will abide by this? Will Tuchel end up staying for 5-6 years? Because the fans love him, and obviously if he's gonna not have complaints about this, then the club's gonna love him as well. Like, of course we don't know his whole view on it, and obviously in the press conference today he can't really come out and say, "Oh, I hate it" and stuff. But I was reading, it was from an article. I'll try and find it somewhere, but there was a lot of reaction to it on Twitter, and he said in a quote like something like, I think it would be a good idea for football. So maybe this was the plan the whole along, Laurenz.
We have to give him the benefit of the doubt that in 2016 he didn't know that there was necessarily going to be 15 founding members that would never be able to.
Yeah. And that's what I said. We don't know as of today. Like in the press conference, he can't say he's viewing it now, but like still, it's just incredibly sad that the club are prioritising revenue over fans and not even giving us a voice and a chance to fight back. I mean, we'll have to try and fight back ourselves by doing different things, but it's just, we're just like a cash in. We're just customers. We're fans. We're not customers. Like, you get what I mean? It's just a joke. Yeah, it really is.
I do. Like, we are customers, but for me, that's something that I accepted much longer ago, if that makes sense. Hence, a bit like something that Lewis said, football has been developing towards this direction, and this move has been talked about for so long. If you didn't think this was ever going to happen, you were kind of kidding yourself. Like, this was always going to happen. You could always be unhappy with it, and I totally respect it, and I agree with it to a large extent. But I'm just saying it was always going to happen. And quickly to comment on this comment by Debbie here, saying a company doesn't have clients for most of its life, because I made the company comparison. A company has to win clients. You're comparing apples and pears. Now, a football club is a company, first of all. And secondly, there are companies that have clients for most of their life, obviously. Banks. How often do you bloody change banks, right? And if Sky and BT stay about and you still want to watch sports, you're probably going to be a customer of theirs for the rest of your life as well. So, like, that does happen. I'm not going to lie. But one question I have for you, and then we're going to round it out here. Are you going to watch Chelsea Brighton tomorrow?
Nope. And I don't care about it.
Fair enough. I will watch it.
You know what? I might end up 5 minutes before kickoff flicking it on for first half or something. But for me, I support Chelsea because there's always been a meaning behind it for me. There's always been passion in every game. I like playing the Brightons, the Southamptons, the West Broms, the Fulhams. But this season, obviously, we're fighting for top 4. It's different if we're still fighting for the title. It's different. But what's there to play for now? Like, even Thomas Tuchel said the situation's a bit different. I mean, is he just going to field like not a weak team? Is he going to play Gilmore? Is he going to give an academy player? I don't know the reason behind, why are the players even going to try now? I just don't get it. The only one that I care about is the FA Cup final. And even that is going to be an absolute joke because the media and stuff are going to pour so much hate on us. But just as a fan, I hope that we do win that because it's a trophy on the line. Whether or not the significance dies down after a few years and that particular trophy, if we win it, I don't know. But for me personally, I want us to win that trophy, and the Premier League just holds no significance for me anymore because I just think it's been destroyed.
Yeah, I disagree on the Premier League thing in terms of winning it. Obviously, we're not in to win it anymore, sadly, this season. I will watch the game, and I am yet to be 1,000% sold that top 4 won't matter. Because I wouldn't be surprised this might happen, this Super League, and it's likely to happen. But I'm yet to be sold, and no one's confirmed yet, as far as I'm aware, that this will actually happen next season. I don't think any date was ever said by anybody. So, and I hope Tuchel and the players can sort that out because tomorrow, in my opinion, likely still matters a lot. We need to get top 4 because this might happen. Who knows? Whether it's still just trying to force the UEFA to change the Champions League plans, although it seems like they didn't properly today. But revise them now again, or whether this is a full idea. But again, people pulling out of the European Club Association and clubs, and then people putting back their roles at the UEFA, whether it's Agnelli, whether it's a couple of other people. Anyway, I forgot their names. It's unlikely at this point, but no one's telling me that has it just been said, Mr. Cylinder, that it's August 2021. Fair enough. But still, I wouldn't 100% rely on this. If it does, I watched the game. I watched the game because I don't know for sure yet. That's why. And I hope that the players still turn up, and it will be interesting. It will be interesting. The Liverpool game tonight will be interesting. How players comment, how managers comment. Obviously, talking about the press conference, but it will be interesting. It will be the first players interview tonight.
You know what, Laurenz? I don't think it'll be interesting. You know why? It's because I just think they're tied behind PR, and I think their voices will be, I think we're going to be the ones that are going to have to put up the fight because at the end of the day, as much as we've been punished, we ain't going to get, fines. We ain't going to get whatever. We're not actually we're not employees of the club, if you get me. Like, we're just fans, and that's just sad that I'm just saying just fans now because that just feels like what it is to me, and it's sad. I mean, like, we won't know players' true opinions on this. I'm sure they hate it. I'm sure some will try and post something, and maybe some will come out, but who knows?
That would be. I don't think any one of the clubs that plays in the Super League will say a word.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen a thing. Bruno Fernandes was reposted something on his Instagram story, but these players are going to end up getting bloody punished because they're doing that, saying their true opinion. I don't know. It's happened at Man United before. I mean, De Gea, even though it's not to do with this, De Gea said our form's not been good enough. Just saying his opinion. He got bloody stripped of captaincy. It's just the power.
Especially, isn't that what you want your captain to say in the first place?
The power in these clubs above is absolutely ridiculous, and that's the whole point. It's all wrong. There's so many wrong things, and I'm just done, man. I'm worn out. I'm so worn out of this.
Exactly. I see. Same. Like, I've been awake. I was awake till 4 a.m. last night and reading things and hearing things and trying to go through things and trying to understand things. And it's complicated. It's a complicated matter. Again, I just think people slightly forget how bad it was before in terms of making this now sound so bad. I don't know. I think people let the UEFA off way too much just because they got used to it. Same as they will get used to the Super League. But I try to not forget the shit that UEFA has pulled off and not trying to make them the good guys. But ladies and gentlemen, we're going to round it out here. We had unbelievable numbers of viewers today, so I really do appreciate every single one of you that has tuned in. We still have 350 people watching. So if you're new here, please make sure you subscribe. We want to hit 10,000 subscribers as soon as we possibly can. I don't know how much closer we got today, but we're getting ever closer. When we started this stream, we were like 670 or other way. So the more of you get subscribed, the quicker I can get there. It would honestly mean the world to me. So please do subscribe, smash that like button. We still have over 300 people watching, and who knows how many of you have already liked. And we have 250 likes. So let's try to get 300 likes. More of you that go down below, please smash the like button. Doesn't cost you any time, doesn't cost you any money. Again, if you want to become a member, there's a link in the description if you're on your phone, or a join button underneath if you're on desktop. But yeah, we're going to leave it out here. Thank you, Pice, for coming on. Thank you for sharing your opinion. Thank you, everybody in the chat, for sharing your opinion. Sorry, I didn't get as many involved today. There was too many people. We're already 4 people here. I do apologize. I'll see you tomorrow for the player ratings live stream, hopefully, ideally. Probably not with Pice, who's usually my partner in crime with this. Let's see. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Up the Chelsea, I suppose. Upwards and onwards. Let's see what happens with football in the next few months, weeks, days, years. Who knows? But yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.